Happening. So we're back with another Money Moves. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Wendy. Glad to have you here. And man, we got an exciting topic to talk about today. So Money Moves deals with what? Making money moves, right? A lot of stuff is happening in the market. A lot of stuff is happening on the tax front too. A lot of people are looking at their 401k or what's left of their 401k. Maybe it's called a 201 now. I'm not sure. Disgusted, frustrated. And we're going to talk about three things that you need to look at when building wealth, right? Three things that you need to consider, three things that you need to make sure are in there when considering this, because it's going to help you not only long-term, but short-term. So do us a favor, click that little subscribe button, give us a like, and then share this with your friends. Let everybody know that Wendy and John are about to get started. And let's talk money on Money Moves. And we're back with another Money Moves. So, Wendy, I'm excited about this topic. I know we talked a little bit before we jumped on here, but
looking forward to sharing some things to pay attention to. Yeah, when building your wealth, when ways to make your money grow, and what to look out for so you don't lose your butt.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's going on. I got an email today from a new client coming on board, and she shared some news, which I'm not going to go into. But, a lot of people are concerned about what's happening, and they're frustrated. Time and time again, they start building wealth, they start getting ahead, and then all of a sudden, the bottom drops out, or the market resets, call it whatever you will. And there's frustration. So what we had talked about, you and I talked about, and I want to share it with our viewers today, are the three things that, you should be looking for when you're building a wealth strategy, right? Not just putting money in your 401k. When I say building wealth, I'm not talking about a 401k. That may be part of it, but that's not the end all and be all. So we talked to a lot of people about, different strategies, protected asset classes. We deal with a lot of clients that do real estate, invest in businesses and things like that. And I want everybody to understand it's not the investment necessarily that is what it creates that wealth, right? It's the income created from that asset. Okay. Right. That's the passive income on real estate, your investments and things like that. You're not living on the investment. If you do, that's going to set your second generation up for failure because they're going to have to do the whole thing over again, right? So the goal of building wealth, not being rich, but building wealth is to have that generational piece. So, item number one of the top three things is obviously, you just mentioned it, right? I want growth, not to be Mr. Obvious, but I think growth is important when you're looking at a wealth strategy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You want your money to grow. And especially, we talk about this a lot, but it's got to outpace inflation.
Yeah. Yeah. And typically that's not too difficult, when it's 2 or 3% on the regular, but lately, the last couple of years, we've been as high as almost 9%, 8.6, I think it was. And, unless you're getting returns higher than 8.6, net of your fees, you're behind the eight ball. Same thing with your work. I mean, it's January. Everybody's got their year-end reviews done, right? If you didn't get an increase in your pay of at least 8.5%, guess what? You're going backwards.
Yeah.
You may have the dollars, but your buying power is less than what it was the year previous. So, that growth piece is a big one. There's a lot of different ways to grow money. I like to boil it down to three, right? And we've talked about this on previous episodes. So the first one is fixed growth. And you look at that, and what are some things that you think of when I say fixed growth?
Bank account, whole life insurance.
CDs, that's another one. And I'm not talking about the Bon Jovi CDs in the closet. I'm talking about, CDs from banks, things like that.
Yeah.
And these are fixed rate of return. And typically people like that because they feel safe, right? But you've got to look at, okay, what's that actual return getting me versus the inflation rate that's going on, because that creates, a net loss, if you will. And typically that's not too exciting as far as growth. You're not really going to get ahead using the rule of 72, right? And if you don't know what the rule of 72 is, look at one of our previous episodes, but basically divide whatever interest rate by the number 72 and the number that comes back, 72 by that interest rate. And that's going to show you how many years approximately it's going to take to double one time.
Right.
So the first one is growth or fixed. And the second strategy is variable. Most of us are familiar with that. 401k, IRAs, TSPs if you're in the military, right? And this is that rocky roller coaster most of us are sold for middle class on. This is what you need to do. Because we all look at, I'm going to get those high returns. I'm going to get those high returns. And you do on occasion. But that's not what's happened over the last couple of years, right? And that's not what happened in 08. And, the market resets. So you get that up and then you get that down. You get that up and you get that down. So one of the things I do want to reference is, and I challenge everybody to go out and Google this, is what's called the lost decade of investing. That was from 2000 to 2010. They are predicting another lost decade of investing that started in 2020 and is going to go through the next little bit here, 2021, excuse me, and is going to go through the next decade of another lost decade. So for the Gen Xers out there, me, you, right, other Gen Xers, we got double screwed on that. That's 20 years that we're going to lose growth-wise over the 30 or 40 that we're investing our life savings and trying to build wealth through the traditional, right? So the last one is what's called indexed. You don't know what indexed is? Google Warren Buffett and see what he has to say about it. I'm not gonna go through it. There's a lot of different index strategies. It's a great way to diversify. Some of them even have hedges. What does that mean? I get the growth. When the market goes down, guess what? I don't lose any of my money.
Right.
So that's it. That's how you're going to grow money in America. Keep it simple. You've got fixed, variable, and indexed. Okay. So that growth piece, I don't know, before I move on to the other one, do you have anything else you want to add on that growth?
Yeah, just I've seen like my parents were heavily dependent on a 401k, right? And my dad worked for GM and had all his money in GM stock and wanted to retire, close to that 2008. Wound up, having to work, way longer than he had originally intended because that decline in the market. And so that's one other thing to think about, like with 401ks and those ups and downs. It's, we talk a lot about, over time you're losing time that's compounding because of the decreases, but then also like nobody's going to retire this year that wanted to, because you don't want to start pulling from a 401k, right? And I mean, I guess some people have to, but you don't want to go, okay, now the market's down, however many percent, what is it? 30 something percent from last year. You don't want to pull money out now, right? You don't want to start using that now. So, I feel like, that's something we don't think about a lot is your 401k determining when you get to retire. Instead, if with that more index growth, you have more say in when that happens.
Well, and that's the big thing of looking at, okay, what's my short-term strategy, medium-term strategy, and long-term strategy, which kind of leads me into the next one, looking at the number two thing you want to look at, right? Component you want to look at is liquidity, right? Most people are putting their money into pre-tax, events, or, some are doing Roth IRAs and things like that, which is post-tax, which that's a whole other conversation on taxation. But you look at that, that where you're putting that money, that liquidity, you can't touch that until you're at least 59 and a half without taking a 10% hit on a penalty. And that's, that to me has always seemed kind of, I'll just say frustrating, right? For the simple fact that, I'm putting my money away. It's my money. I'm putting it away. And I have an opportunity to buy a franchise or buy into a business or buy real estate. A lot of people we work with are real estate investors. And, I can't get that money out of there. It's my money. I can't get it without taking a penalty. And you don't want to do that, right? Because it's your money, put it somewhere differently at first, let it grow in that. That's what you can access. And so that liquidity piece is a big, big component, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously the most liquid, easy thing is cash in the bank, right?
Mhm.
But going back to that growth piece, you're not getting the growth there. So trying to find those solutions. And that's what we help people with, finding those solutions that it's liquid and it's getting the growth that you want.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Because
not.
you never know when an opportunity is going to come up, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And how many that opportunity cost
Hmm.
of a missed opportunity could have been a game changer for you. And we've all been there, right? Man, I've got a great deal on this condo down in Florida. I could, Airbnb it out or whatever, but I don't have the money for the down payment because it's all locked away in my 401k or something like that.
And
you know, I'm sorry.
sorry. I think there was a little delay. Sorry. Well, and the wealthy, right? They have access to money. Like
Mhm.
that's what, like they're able, like you said, that opportunity. They're able to seize opportunity because they've set themselves up to have access to money.
Yeah.
And so having that incorporated into your plan, not having literally every dollar you save tied up in a 401k is so important. And I think we're just not, I know I wasn't taught that. And a lot
No,
of
neither was
people
I.
that feel like they're set financially, it's all in a 401k. And yeah, I've seen them miss opportunities.
Yep.
So, and that's, yeah, having access to money is important.
Yeah, exactly. And again, so that liquidity is the second one. The third one is, protecting your nest egg, protecting your empire, right? That protection piece.
Mhm.
And not only, I'm not talking just in the retirement years, so to speak. And, my financial advisor or whatever, they've got me protecting by moving into bonds and low risk stocks and mutual funds and things like that. Well, low risk isn't risk free, right?
Mhm.
There's still a way you can do it. And traditionally, in that traditional mindset, what happens is I go 20 years into retirement, I shift everything into a low risk strategy. I still have risk, but what happens, I also get the other side of that coin with low risk means low reward.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I've given up 20 years of growth in my retirement years, right?
Mhm.
Because I've shifted to low risk. So I've given up 20 years of growth. And so what happens? I start spending down my assets. I'm not living on the interest. Right now it's, the magical, you can live on 4%, which actually the true number is more like 3.7. Well, if you've got a $500,000 sitting in a 401k or something like that, can you really live on 4%? Probably not. Not if you want to do stuff and have fun and take care of your health. And if you've got a long-term care issue that pops up, whoa, you're going to want to give money to kids, grandkids, and stuff like that. You're not going to be able to do that. So what do?
Mhm.
You start spending it down. So you're in low growth and you're spending all your assets. And that's where the number one fear
Yep.
for retirees, which is what?
Outliving their money.
Outliving their money or,
Mhm.
moving in with your kids. And no, I mean, seriously, it's one of those things. Outliving the money is the number one fear, but I would not want to, as an adult, have to move back in with my kids to make ends meet. And I'm not judging anybody that has to do that. I get it. That's just the situation, right? But take action now, plan accordingly now, so you don't have to be one of those people down the road. And that's something you don't want to try to figure out when you're 65, 70. You want to start doing it now when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s to plan
Mhm.
accordingly to make that happen. But not only that, going back to the liquidity prospect, I mean, you look at a lot of people now. I mentioned the lady when we first, joined in. People in their late 30s, mid 40s, or even early 50s have taken major hits over the last year.
Mhm.
Okay, and we're told the old adage of, "Hey, don't worry, it's long term. You'll get your money back." Okay, this is the BS that we're fed by the traditional financial advisors, and it pisses me off. I want to say that because yeah, I may get my money back, and I've shared my story about 2008. I got my money back. They did not lie to me. I got my money back in 2013.
Yeah.
What did I not get back though?
5 years.
5 years, the
Yeah.
time, right?
Compound. Yeah.
And that's what happened. So I lost 5 years of growth. Talk about the opportunity cost, right? I lost 5 years of compounding that should have happened,
Mhm.
but it didn't because my money wasn't there. I was getting the lost money back. That's not the same thing. That's like you walking up to a blackjack table, you put $100 down, you lose it. I put another $20 down and win. I put another $20 down and win. I put another 20. Well, I only lost the one time, but I won 3 in a row. You're still upside down. You're
Mhm.
still net loss.
Mhm.
And that's where people, hopefully some light bulbs are going off in people's head going, yeah, I see what's going on.
Mhm.
And it's the game is stacked up against us, and it's like any other game, like a board game. If you don't know the rules and you're playing against people who do, you're going to have a tough time winning for you and your family. So that's what Money Moves is all about. I don't know. I'm going to kind of hit pause on that. Winnie, I don't know if you have some additional comments.
No, I mean, you hit it. And I just, I'm not as much of an expert as you. I've been learning a ton. I guess I've been working with you a little over a year now and learned so much. But it's funny. I have conversations literally all day, every day with people that are out there busting their butt to make income and to maximize their profits and their returns, through what they're doing to create income. But literally none of them know what to do with that money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's not until my only friends that know what they're doing with money, putting it back, other than the ones we're helping, are multimillionaires. Yep. And it's like, and I've even had them say to me, I had one of my friends say to me, nobody taught me this until I was making 6 figures a month, because nobody's taking the time, because there's financial people that, they only want to work with the wealthy. And so I love what we're doing, and I love how fired up you get about it. But I love what we're doing and teaching people that there are other options. There's a way to get, have your money protected, have it grow, have it liquid, right? And create that asset for your future. And it's not, we're hearing more about it lately, but it's not something that's been commonplace, that's been taught. And so I love that we're doing that. And if you're watching this and you're like, I need to make a change, I need to see, and just have a real plan, right? I think that's the most empowering thing, is saying, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to be. Okay, here's the path to get there.
Yep.
Right? It might be a hard path. It might be like, I have to cut back on some things, or, save more, but at least there's a path and there's a plan. So
pick your pain is what I always say. You can either go through a little pain now or a lot of pain later, but it's one of those things that and that's it. That's the recap, guys, is, 3 things you want to look for. Number 1, is my money growing? I want to see growth. Number 2, is it liquid so I can take advantage of other opportunities that may come up? Number 3, is it protected? Because I don't want to go out there and bust my butt and then put money away just to have it lost because of something going on overseas or whatever the case may be, the inflation, economy, whatever. So those are the 3 things to look for. And when you're talking to a financial person, if you've got a financial advisor, and they're not in line with what you're doing, if they're trying to tell you just this one path is what you need, put all your money in an IRA or put all your money in the 401k, that is probably not the person you want to talk to, right? Make sure they're in alignment with what you're doing. For my real estate investors out there, if you're talking to people they're helping you with their money and they don't do real estate, that's probably a concern you should have, right? Because they don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. Same thing with my entrepreneurs out there, right? So if you need help, we'd love to help you. If you want to plan and see what we're all about, you reach out to us, Wendy Lee or John Cleaver. You can reach me right there, johncleaver.com, and set up a time to have a conversation with both of us. We'd love to help you out. But again, make your money moves for you and your family. We're here every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific. Do me a favor, show some love, click that subscribe button. We're trying to grow this channel, and share it. Share it on your social media, forward it on your Facebook page. If you catch us on Facebook, YouTube, send it to your friends, whatever. Send a letter with the URL code or whatever. We're trying to grow this channel. But hopefully you got something out of us. Give us a thumbs up if you did. And we will see you next week with some more ideas for you to make some money moves.